Good morning, everyone. Thank you for your time and joining our exciting Neurasoft Fusion webinar. I hope that it's going to be very, very informative. Fusion is an exciting procurement product which is web-based, and Carrie Lee Dempsey from Preferred Solutions is going to be presenting and giving a live demo on this product to show you the functionality and just how it can help your business. If you are having internet or sound issues, please be aware that we will be recording the session and we will send you a video link afterwards, together with a feedback form link, which you can then send us your questions and feedback. You can also use the chat box to submit your questions during the webinar itself. We will have a Q&A session at the end to answer some of your questions. If it is a very specific question to your company, we will get back to you directly instead of in the Q&A session. We hope it's very, very informative to you guys, and I'm giving over to Carrie to start the presentation. Thank you.
Thanks, Leon. Good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. Welcome to our Neurasoft Fusion webinar. Today, I'm just going to be taking you through step by step on how the Fusion procurement system works. And I'm also just going to start with a couple of slides to just explain and give you a little bit more background and information on the product. So, yes, I'm Carrie Dempsey from Preferred Solutions, and I am a Sage Evolution consultant. What is Neurasoft Fusion Procurement? It's a cloud-based procurement system that offers you a system available from anywhere with internet access. So that means that from your tablet, from your laptop, from your phone, you will be able to access your procurement system. The process starts with creating your request, your purchase request, and it follows through to budget review, approvals, workflow steps that are pre-set up before the time, and it also allows you to send your purchase order directly to your supplier from Fusion. It assists in the control and tracking of all of your purchases and also to help just maintain your inventory levels through your purchases. Neurosoft integrates directly into your Sage Evolution software, allowing real-time accuracy as well as a paperless solution for your purchasing approvals. Some benefits of the Neurasoft Fusion Procurement: you have all of your business's expenditures captured and approved and processed via your web browser, all the while maintaining a live view of budgets, purchase orders, and policies. Fusion's customizable automation and workflows will smoothen the complex procurement process for faster and more accurate turnaround time. It enables a seamless flow of information throughout your organization, irrespective of role or department or location. This speeds up your decision-making process and reduces the overall turnaround time of the procure-to-pay cycle through quick data retrieval and seamless collaboration. It comes with an intuitive user interface that provides a bird's eye view of the procurement process using the purchase request view. Sorry, I'm quite nervous, I apologize. And users can track the status of any purchase at a glance or see outstanding requests when they need to authorize or to further motivate their purchase. All right. Some more benefits. So Neurosoft Fusion uses a SQL database. All of your information is stored in a SQL database, just like your Evolution data, and that allows you the peace of mind to know that your data is protected within your current IT infrastructure. The users are also not limited to just your Sage Evolution users. You can have more or less users using the Fusion procurement, and it is irrespective of what your current Sage Evolution user package is. All the documents that you use on Neurasoft Fusion are accessible from the requests directly. You don't need to have a shared folder where you save all your documents and everybody needs access to it. You will be able to get all of that information from Fusion and it's stored in that SQL database for you. Emails are sent throughout the request process automatically, and to notify the users you need to, you've got an action on this request that you need to do, you've got an approval waiting for you. So they will always know at what point they need to log in and actually make an approval or do something on the request. All right. Cloud product. So by cloud product, we mean that you are able to work on the same project, on the same workflow from different locations at the same time with immediate updates. You will have a live view of your requests in the system, and you can sit at home, you can sit on the beach, you can sit wherever you want to, and you will have access to your Fusion as long as you've got internet. Having a cloud product means that you don't get disconnected, waiting for data synchronization processes or lost data. Everything will be saved directly to the server and you can access it from anywhere. How does Neurasoft Fusion integrate into Sage Evolution? We have integration from the suppliers, general ledger accounts, the general ledger and project budgets, inventory items, projects, tax types, any new master files or changes in the Sage Evolution are immediately available to use or view in Neurasoft when you update them. Purchase order transactions are posted to Sage directly the moment they are fully approved. I'm going to go onto my Fusion and we'll take it from there. All right, so this is the login screen to Fusion. You'll see that I've got a web address and I'm using Chrome. It's supported across all of the platforms. So you can use Internet Explorer, you can use Chrome, you can use Firefox. It's supported across all of them. And you will have a secure and unique login URL for each. Each client will have their own URL that's secure and is run from their server directly. So we've got usernames and then also the Evolution company that you're going to be logging into. So it's very similar to the Evolution login screen. My originator or my initiator today, her name is Maria. So I'm going to be logging in as Maria and I'm going to be starting my request. Our internet is a little bit, there we go. All right. So when you log into Neurosoft for the first time, you'll see that we've got sort of a little system tree on the left-hand side that gives us our inbox. Our waiting for me means that anything that I need to do anything on, approve, make an action on, I will be able to go there and see what's lying and waiting for me. Anything by me means that it's sitting with somebody else, waiting for someone else to approve or to give more information on. I've also got approved, rejected. I can have all my drafts saved over there. I've got all of the requests over there are any requests that are linked to me. I can go and have a look at all of them, whether they're waiting for me or by me. And then I've also got an activity log that I can see from this screen. All right, so I'm going to start with a new request. And it is going to be taking me to a workflow. These workflows we set up based on your procurement or your purchasing policy in the company. It's very customizable. We can take exactly what you have and add it to the system so that it works in a flow that is exactly the way that you want it to, or we can take your current workflow and just improve on that. And then once the users start purchasing, then the workflows and the segments are available for them. We can limit the users by segment, and I will quickly just choose my purchase request. And I've got a list of segments. So segments can be limited to the users. So for instance, if this user wasn't allowed to purchase to a finance workflow, they wouldn't have access to it. I've got access to both with this user though. I'm going to choose the finance workflow and that's going to follow a specific workflow that I've already set up. Our current workflow step will automatically populate as I go through my procurement process. And then I will just go and put in a description of what I'm purchasing. So in this case, I'm going to go do a purchase request for consulting. I've also got tags that I can use for reports. Wanted to use it. Otherwise, I could just leave it blank. And you'll see here that on the Evolution side, I've got my supplier options. So my suppliers come directly from Evolution. It goes and looks up what's available there. As soon as you create a supplier in Evolution, it will already be available in Fusion for you to use. I am going to be using preferred solutions. So I'm just going to type in pref as my search option, and it's going to go and filter out and give me the suppliers that have that text in it. We've got projects as well. So I can go and choose a project that I'd like to purchase on if I do use projects. It also works on project per line and not just per header. So whatever your Evolution settings are, it will mirror that on your project side. We've also got messages that we can add to the request if we wanted to. And we've also got tick boxes at the different steps in our process that we can select just to say, yes, the supplier's invoice has been paid or it's been processed. Okay. Once I've selected my supplier, I can go to the information tab. It will then tell me my supplier's credit limit, and it will also tell me what is remaining on the supplier, just so that I can make an informed decision on this purchase based on what I have available to spend with the supplier. You'll also see that there's a delivery address screen over there. That means that if I wanted to go to a specific site or location, I can change the delivery address on this particular request or purchase order so that it doesn't come to my usual address, the default address that's set up in Evolution. Right. We've got a couple of tabs over there which I'll take you through as we go along the process. I just want to go to the information tab. This allows us to put in a specific order date as well as a due date that I'm expecting the purchase to arrive. The order date will determine what the budget period is that you are looking at when we go to the general ledger side of things. Okay. We also have references and customizable fields. So if there are any user-defined fields that you're currently using on your purchase orders in Evolution, we can create them there, link them so that they can populate them in Fusion. And when you go to Evolution to pull up your purchase order, all of that information will already be there and filled in for you. All right. So I'm going to go onto my adding of my general ledger lines. I've also got the option to add inventory lines. They are separate over here. So if I wanted to add a new line, I can click on new, and that will take me to my screen where I can input my line details. So I can go to my list of general ledger accounts. You can limit the general ledger accounts that this particular user is allowed to purchase to. So it's not just what is allowed to be purchased in Evolution that's ticked for purchasing. You can also limit to user the GL accounts that they're allowed to purchase to. So I'm just going to choose my consulting, and you'll see immediately once I've chosen my GL account, my budget figures populate. So over here on the right hand side, we've got a budget per period as well as the year budget available. So you'll see my budget for the period is 5,000. I don't have anything that has been processed yet, so I've got 0, and my pending approval value, that means that any requests that are in the system already would be lying there for you to base your budget approval on from the screen. It also tells us if I've got a year to date available, if I don't maybe have enough on the period. Right, so I'm just going to say there, Fusion Consulting. Then I can say it's 4 hours at $7.95 exclusive of that. If I don't have my exclusive value, I can also go and input my inclusive value and it will work it back. You'll see I've also got a discount field as well as my tax type I can select from over here. It will be automatically set up to what is in Evolution, but it does allow you to change it over here. So in my line note, I can go and enter in what I would usually do on a line note in the purchase order screen, just extra information that I can put there. I can say database changes just for more information. Once I'm happy with all the information that I've put in there, I can say okay, and it will add my line to my purchase request. You'll see that I do have an import line option. So if you have got purchases that are 50 lines, you can put that into Excel and then use the import function to import them rather than adding them one by one. Right. On the inventory line side, it looks pretty much the same, except it's going to give us our list of inventory items available. I'm going to purchase a laptop in this case, and you'll see that I've got warehouses. If you don't have warehouses, it will just be grayed out. And here in my description field, it tells me what my inventory item is, but that is the one that I'll change so that on my purchase order that gets sent to the supplier, it's exactly what I want on my description. Okay, so I'm just going to order one, say that it is 1,000 Rand. And in my line note, I can then go and enter to say that it's a Windows 10. All right, as soon as I've updated the information over here, my line totals will be updated, and then I will say okay, and that will then log my line on the inventory lines, and I've also got the general ledger lines information over there. As soon as I start adding the lines to the request under my totals, that will automatically start totaling up all that information, and it will also tell me if I've got any outstanding payments, things like that. I'm going to go down to the comment slide. So at each step of your workflow, you can also add any comments for extra information. You can also include files. So when you go to the Files tab, you've got an option to browse to your computer and upload documentation. So I'm going to go and update with, sorry, I've got a lot. Let's just say that information. I'm going to say document. I've also got the option to say what kind of document I'm uploading. So if it's a quote, supply invoice, proof of payment, photo, additional documentation, and other, I can also just classify what kind of file that I have uploaded. In this case, I'll say a quote because I'm the first person doing the request. And it'll be available there for me and for all of my approvers to actually go and have a look at and download. All right. Once I've got all of my information in, I can either save it, that will go and then line my drafts option. Otherwise, I've also got the option to go and request approval. So you'll see everything is grayed out based on the status of my request at this time. So I'm going to request approval, and that will then move on to the next workflow step. And it has not been assigned. So if I go to my waiting by me, I can see over there's my request. I can see that it's who it's been assigned to and what step it is actually in at the moment. So it's waiting for my GM to be approved. I just want to quickly log out as Maria and just show you on my workflow how I have set that up. So on my workflow, and this is very customizable, you can add as many steps as you want. You can take steps away, keep it very simple. My very first step is the approval of the GM. Then it's going to go to my buyer just to review and say, yes, I'm happy with it. And then move on to my next step, which is my actual approvals, where it's going to a first approver. If it is under 10,000 Rand, then the first approver will be able to approve this without going on to the next approval step. So it also allows you to set up authorization levels depending on your purchasing policies in your company. And then once that has been fully approved based on the value, then it will go and create the purchase order automatically into Evolution for me. It will then assign to my buyer in this case, who can send the purchase order directly to the supplier. And then once that buyer has then sent it on, completed that task, then it will assign to the person who created the request in the first place, just to let them know that the approval has been done and it has now completed and the purchase has been done with the supplier. All right, so that is my workflow that I'm using in this example. I'm going to log out as my admin, and then I'm just going to log in as that very first approver. At each step in this process, there will be an email sent. So in this case, Conrad was the one who's going to approve first. Conrad would have received an email to say, purchase request number 7 is waiting for you to approve. There will also be a link in the email taking you directly to the site so that they can just click from the email, take it to the site, put in their login details, and it will take them to their system tree and their little inbox. So there is my purchase request. Once I go to this request, you'll see that everything is sort of just view only at the moment. I can see what my workflow was that was chosen, the description, the tags, what the request number is. On the supply information tab, I can see that it is what their limit is. On the evolution tab, I can see that it's gone to that supplier, it's gone to that project, as well as on my assignment, I can see that it is lying with Conrad at the moment. On the lines, you'll see that it just gives you a brief description, telling me what my description, the code that I'm using on the GL, the quantity, and then the exclusive unit price with the total over there. If I go to my inventory lines, I've got my laptop that I've purchased over there. I can see any information. If I wanted to view it a little bit more in detail, I can select on the line and it will take me to that same screen. And now I can have a look and see what my budget values are and if I do have enough budget available to be able to make this purchase. All right. As an approver or someone who did not initiate it, I can then come to my files. I can go and have a look at the comments side of things, if there is anything yet. And also on the file, I can then go and click on that file and it will download it onto my local. Obviously, in this case, it is now it's already saved to my local, so it's automatically opened it, but it would actually download it for me to be able to then view. There's also a show log option, so that will allow you to see each and every step, all the details on that. And if you just browse through the tabs at the top, you'll see that it is now waiting for approval stage. On the approval, it is still pending, nothing has been done yet. And on my totals, I can go and view the total, make sure I'm happy with that. And on the information, I can also see who created it, what the due date is, and what the order date is. At this point in time, I can either approve or reject it. I've also got the option to post a comment, request information, and then also make a copy of this if I wanted to use this for a new purchase request, and just maybe make some changes to the values. I'm going to approve this request, say yes, and it is then going to move off of my inbox and into the next person's inbox. So on my all screen, I can go and have a look and see at any point in time, what are the purchase requests in the system, what are their statuses, who is assigned to them at the moment, who still needs to do that either approval, rejection, or information task there. You'll see that I'm waiting for a task to be completed for my number 7. It is lying with my buyer in this case. So I'm going to log in as the buyer and then do whatever I need to do based on the step that I'm in. So my buyer in this case will then go and have a look, make sure maybe that the correct supplier has been added, make sure that I'm happy with all the information that's put on, the general ledger account is correct, the inventory code that I'm using is correct. I can then go and post a comment to say, yes, I'm happy with it. And my comment is now posted there with the user, the time and date stamp over there. Having a complete task option or not necessarily approval step in the middle of your workflow does allow you for a little bit of flexibility if somebody needs to go and check the quotes that were uploaded, and it's not necessarily an approval step at this point in time. It does allow you to include that in your workflow. So I'm going to complete this task. It's going to ask me if I'm sure. It's going to say yes. And then what it's going to do, it's going to go in to my next workflow step, which is an approval step. So if I go to my all again, I can go and have a look and see. I can see that it's now waiting for approval and it is lying with that user. Obviously, all my passwords at this point is blank, but every single time the first time you log in as a user, you will have the option to create your own password so that it's very secure and nobody else knows what your password is. And then you will also have the option to be able to reset your own password, or an admin user can reset your own password. Every time you reset your password, it will prompt you to put in your own unique password again. So this is the purchase request waiting for approval. If I go to my rejection, instead of approving it, you'll see that it gives me an option to make a rejection based on a reason that I can put in. These are not these are predefined, but you can go and make changes to them to fit your whatever rejection reasons that you would like to have there. It also allows you to return to a specific person. So if I don't necessarily want it to go all the way back to Maria, who is the one who created it, and I wanted to go back to the GM instead because maybe I'm not understanding something or I want some more information, I can then also return it to a specific person rather. And it also gives me an option to put in a comment so that that user knows exactly why you rejected that. I'm not going to reject it at this point though. I also have the option to request for information. So if any point in my workflow, I would like to actually ask a different person for information, somebody who is outside of my workflow, I can also do that. I can click on request information and it allows me to choose who I'd like to return this to and just ask them a question. And so maybe in this case, they're going back to the user to say, I don't have enough balance available. Can you make sure that payment gets done or anything like that? And then it will actually assign it completely out of my workflow to that person. I have a look under all, you'll see that it's waiting for information and that's the user who has got it at the moment. There is my request. I can now go and have a look. Check on my comments side, you'll see that the request information to that specific person was logged as a comment. Please check the supply balance. And then what you can do is then go and post a comment back if you need to. And then this person can then resume back into the workflow. At this point, you'll see that if you have got access to it and user rights to be able to, if there was maybe something that you had to change, you've got an edit option at the top there, and that will allow you to go into the request and make any changes according to the supplier, the project, the lines on the fields. You can change the quantity, your price, anything like that. The only thing that you won't be able to change is the actual workflow that it's saved to because it's already in its workflow process. So I can just save. And then I can say request for information. So if I needed to ask somebody else, I can go even further into it and request more information, or I'm going to resume. And that will take me back to my workflow step. It has now been assigned to the same approver who assigned it to Charlene for more information. And I will log in as that approver. And make my approval. See, I have a look at the comments over there. And I'm happy with that. I can now approve my request. Right. So what it's done is this was actually under the limits, the 10,000 Rand limit. So it has now been fully approved. If I go and have a look at that request, I will see that my purchase order number has now been assigned to it. That means that in Evolution, it has now gone and created the purchase request, the purchase order based on the request that I sent through. And this is immediately available in Evolution. I'm just going to take you to my screen over there. I'm going to open it up and it will take the automatic numbering that's set up in Evolution for you. So it'll assign what the next PO number is. So there is my request, my order. I've got the correct supplier. My external order number becomes my purchase request number in the system. My project has been assigned. My order date and my due date will also be whatever's on the request. I've got my GL line, my stock line with my line notes, and that is just going to be the ordered quantity that is there. And I can now go and receive my stock or process the supply invoice if I have that information. And in this case, this step means that this user needs to email it to the supplier. So I'm just going to print a quick preview of what the purchase order looks like. The purchase order will only be allowed to be printed if it has been fully approved. So no one will be able to go and send out this purchase order with the very last step of approval happening and the purchase order number being assigned to it. This is completely customizable, so we can go and add your logos in, we can add more information, addresses, anything that you'd like to see over there. We can have that information right there for you. All right, and it gives me my general ledger code and my inventory items, and then just the total of my purchase. I also have the option to now email the purchase order. That will come up to whoever the contact is loaded in Evolution, as well as the email address that's already loaded in Evolution for the supplier. I can CC in as many people as I'd like to. And then I also have the option to include the quote, the attachment. So any of the attachments that I've loaded on this request, I can go and say, add this attachment to my email to my supplier. So if you maybe have an example, a scenario where you've got the quote that you'd like to send through to the supplier with the purchase order, or if you also have maybe got some drawings that or photos that you'd like to attach for information purposes, you can also do that. You'll just select the attachment and then send this email through to the supplier. And it has now been queued for delivery, so my email is going to be waiting, and that will go through as soon as I automatically. All right, so once this user has now finished, yeah, so that's basically the end of it now. I've got my purchase order has been sent to my supplier. I can go and have a look at the activity. The activity is going to tell me, okay, I don't have any email addresses loaded on my users over here, but I can go and have a look and see the history of all of my purchase requests and who it has been assigned to. And if I go to my all, you'll see that it is approved, and anybody who does have access to viewing all of the purchase requests will be able to see an overview of all the purchase requests that have been in the system, have gone through the system. And it also has filters on, so if I wanted to filter on just what has been approved, I can also do that, and then I will filter out anything that has not been approved based on my view that I'd like to see. Sometimes you'll notice I've got these 3 dots on the side. If the information doesn't fit onto my screen, it will make it a little bit smaller so that I can just see the most the best information. And if I wanted to drill down further, I can just click on those little 3 drop downs, and it will then take me to the information that I've got over there. All right, just a little bit of background. We also have some supplier payments module, and we've also got an interbranch transfer module. I'm not going to be going through that today, but if you do want more information on that, we can also arrange for that. And yes, so that is the request from the beginning up until we have approved it and sent it on to the supplier. And then now I think we can carry on with the questions and answers if you guys have anything. Just going to start here. All right.
It doesn't seem that we had any questions and answers typed into the chat section now. We are going to give a minute. If anybody has any questions, if you can please just access the chat box to let us know if you have any questions. Otherwise, we will be sending out that feedback form where you can set your requests and questions to us. Hi, Lisa. Yes, the recording of this will be sent within today still. We are just going to convert it into a YouTube-friendly format to provide the link. Right. Terence is asking, Carrie, what is the costing of a software?
So the pricing of the software is going to be determined by the amount of users that you'd like, as well as the amount of companies that you'd like to access. So what we can do is if you can just give us that information later on, then we can have a look and set up sort of just a quote for you, and then you can have a look and see what the pricing is going to be for your company.
All right, it doesn't seem that we have any other questions. So we are going to end our session. Carrie, thank you so much for your time and for the presentation. I do see that Terence said, are you able to give a ballpark 100 Rand per user, 1,000 Rand per user? Terence, we will just address this with you directly, if that is okay. All right, so everyone, thank you for attending. We will send you the recording as promised later today. Please take some time to click on that feedback link. We would like to get some feedback from you on how the presentation was experienced. If you have any questions, if you want a quote, or any other matter regarding Fusion procurement. We thank you so much for your time and hope you have a lovely day further.
Thank you, everyone.